Okay, so today we're gonna be making refried beans. I wanna call it Mexican style, but they're really my way. So these are the beans that I've already cooked. These are called frijoles de la olla in Spanish. And what I did is I soaked them in water overnight. That's for those who get gassy. That's actually, it helps for it to not, for the fluctuate. Um, and when I cook them, I put a little bit of cilantro in there. Some people put garlic, but I like to only put cilantro. Okay, it's just my favorite preference. One very important thing about the beans is that you never put the salt right where you when you put the beans. You have to make sure that the beans are actually done. So I would say 45 minutes. Then take like two or three with a spoon and pinch them. And once they're soft, then you can add the salt. Otherwise, they're not gonna be cooking evenly. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to be using for my beans is um, half of an onion. And my chilies, I found it myself, but I have jalapenos, so I'm putting two. I don't really know how spicy they're going to be. And these other chilies, I don't really know the name of them, but they're actually, you could use chile de árbol. Um, I believe these are called chile negro. Again, I have them in my backyard, and if you ever want chilies or whatever, come and visit me. I'll give you some. You can plant them yourself. Okay. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this stove on. I always use it like a medium flame. Okay. And then for the beans, I'm your typical Mexican that you really just put. You don't really have a measurement on, or you have the measurement on your hand. You don't really put like 2 or 3 tablespoons of oil. I want to say like about like that, kind of like um, color the bottom. And this is again, this is for this whole amount of beans right here. So you can go as much as you want or as little as you want. Okay. So once the oil is heating up, I'm going to go ahead and chop the onion, the tomato, and the chilies. Okay. But before I do that, I'm gonna have to go wash my hands. So my cameraman, please come over here. I'm gonna show how to properly wash your hands. You have to sing "Happy Birthday" twice. Okay? Happy birthday. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. You don't have to. As long as you know that they're like, as long as you know, or you're sure that they're clean. 20 seconds, pretty much. That's right there. Okay. All right. Once I make sure that my hands are clean, I'm gonna come over here, and I am going to. My kitchen is super small, so I have to kind of like. So this is just how I chop. Okay. And it doesn't really matter because you're gonna smash it in there anyway. So one more time, I am using half of an onion for like that amount of beans. You don't really have to use it. If you're gonna make less than those, then try to just use less onion. Okay. My chilies, I also have to wash them. These ones I've already previously washed before I dry them, so they're fine. So these ones I'm gonna wash. Okay. Alright, so I put that aside like this, and then I cut my chili. Okay. I remove the stem, just like so. And again, this is also, it doesn't really matter how big or small you cut them, you're gonna smash them, and I'll show you right now what I mean by that. Okay. So I'm gonna make them into little squares like that. Same with this. Okay. Okay. Now, these chilies, I leave them for last. So first, I am going to put this, but I want to make sure that the oil is hot. As you can tell, it's getting there. It's not quite hot just yet. So, yeah, we're just gonna kind of wait for that. Okay. So in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and start chopping these chilies. I'm gonna remove the stem as well. Okay. And I'm using 8 because these are pretty spicy. So for that whole amount of beans, I'm only gonna be using, or I'm gonna be using 8, so that way it just gives it that little kick. If you use 8 for just a little bit of beans, it is going to be very, very spicy, believe me when I tell you that, okay? And you chop in, I mean, you can use the seeds, everything in here. Again, this is just for flavor. Okay. Okay. So just like that. One of them fell off, but it doesn't matter. My little puppy is gonna get it later on. Okay, so now we are going to go over here and start putting the onion and the chilies. Okay, I'm gonna leave those for later. And what I do is I just use instead of using a regular spoon, I'm just using this because this is what I'm gonna be using to smash the beans. So once I put them here for a little bit, like I want to say 2 or 3 minutes, then I can add these other chilies in here. Okay? And if you see 1 or 2 pieces in there, that's fine. Not a big deal. Okay, so I believe now is the time for me to add these other chilies right here. Okay. Perfect. Alright. Like I said, I'm just going to leave it right here. I'm going to higher up a little bit, the flame a little bit more. Okay. And so once you see the onions being crystallized a little bit, you could actually start chopping them or start smashing them. Right. And this is, if you do this, what's going to happen is that all the flavor from everything is going to be mixing, and so your beans are actually going to be tasting a lot better. Okay. This is definitely something that you would have to be doing on your own. If you're going to have your children help you, just be careful with the knives, be careful with the oil, make sure that they're not touching anything just like that. My cameraman is just laughing right now. And today, just so you guys know, it's about 95 degrees outside, and my house is so small, so of course it's getting really hot. I'm going to go ahead and open up that door, okay? I'll be back. Okay, so I'm gonna keep on smashing my beans. Well, not my beans yet. My recaudo. We call this recaudo. Okay. So as you can see now, it's kind of coming out through the holes, coming up through the holes. That's telling me that the onion is pretty much cooked, and I'm just smashing it. Okay, so my beans actually, I just cooked them this morning. Like I said, I soaked them overnight, and I cooked them this morning. So they probably should be hot still. Well, not that hot. I thought the steam was gonna be coming up, but it's fine. All right. Now, if you look at these beans, this amount of water is going to make them a little runny. But because we want to use the beans for to make burritos, because we're gonna be making burritos with these beans, we're gonna try to make them a little bit drier. So I don't know if I'm gonna be using the all the juice or not. Okay, but I will know until I start putting them in here. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna start putting them right here, and I'm gonna use the whole thing. I'm gonna use this whole cilantro and everything. I'm gonna be using it in here. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go ahead and like pour it there. I've got a little bit of juice, because again, I don't know if I want to be using the whole thing. And then I'm going to put in more beans. As you can tell, these beans are like super soft, super soft. I'm going to higher up the flame because now what I want is for them to boil here. Okay. So I'm definitely not going to use all the juice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw away a little bit of juice, and then I'm going to pour the rest in there. Okay. I'm just throwing it in the sink. Really. Okay. So that right there, that's perfect. Again, this is just because we're going to be making burritos. Otherwise, if it would have been like for breakfast or whatever, you want them a little runny, don't throw away the juice. Okay. All right. So this is. And we're just going to wait for these to. Oh, I always cook in big batches. I come from a family of 12. So my mom, when she would cook something, she would cook for all of us for like 3 days. So I'm kind of used to every time I make something, it's in big batches. You can tell this is only for me. If I would be cooking for 12, I would probably be making a big pan like that. That's just me. Anyway, so these really should. I should start smashing these until it boils, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to go ahead and start smashing it right now, okay? So just slowly here, just because I have a lot of beans. Okay. So what the way I smash my beans is I start on one end, I go like here, and slowly start going that way. Okay. That's pretty much what has worked best for me. Also, I have to say that some people like it not super smashed. I like it very smashed, because if you don't smash them all, then you're gonna find whole beans there, and they're not gonna get the flavor of the oil and chili and the onion and all that goodness. Okay. So I'm still stirring it little by little, slowly. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to grab a spoon because I want to taste how salty they are. Again, I've already added the salt on these beans when I was boiling them. So I'm just gonna try the juice. It does need a little bit of salt. So I'm just gonna add a little bit right now. And once they boil, because when they boil and they evaporate, they're gonna get a little bit saltier. So I'm just adding a little bit, really. Okay. And just continue. You're probably gonna say, well, how much salt do you add when you're gonna cook when you cook the beans? Um, so for the beans, I don't know. Some people call me crazy, really, but I like to use um, whole salt. Is that how you call it? Whole. It's not granulated, and so again, I always use my hand. So for the whole for that big pan, I use about this much. Okay, but I use this much and this kind of salt because this is not as salty as the one that is granulated, especially the one that is in a blue container. I'm not gonna say names because I don't want them to come back and say, why are you saying the brand name? Let me get another towel. I guess I'm gonna higher up a little bit more the flame so that way this thing is done sooner. That was a little bit of juice that I dropped when I. That's why we have to be careful because since it's a lot, um, every drop or whatever that falls down, of course the flame is going to be like all crazy, asking for more. Okay, so um, as you can tell, it's like getting a different consistency now that the juice is getting thicker, and that's because everything is being smashed together, and um, so sometimes what I do as well is that I don't cook them all the way because I'm gonna finish cooking them here, especially if I'm going to be making them on the same day, um, right after I boil them. So one thing that I always like to do um, is make these beans in the barbecue, meaning in tacos. When I make my barbecue, uh, I heard a joke long time ago about why don't Mexicans barbecue, and that was because apparently the beans would fall off the little hole on the barbecue pit. And I really laughed because I barbecue beans. Can you believe it? And I'm Mexican. Oh, by the way, let's talk about my shirt. Let's get this out of the way. I got this for my birthday. It says the chicken whisperer. I love it because I have chicken. And so apparently my wife, cameraman, knows me very well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're also going to be making potatoes. We're not sure if we should make it on the same video or on a different video, but I'm kind of tempted of kind of like mixing both. In one video especially, since this is probably going to take a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna put it on a different place. I'm gonna put it right here, and then I'm gonna use this other one because this is my favorite one for the potatoes. Okay. All right. But I'm gonna lower the flame because then since it's gonna be unattended, I don't want to be um, worrying about that particular pan. Okay. All right. So, cameraman, come this way, please. All right. So, for the potatoes, what I do is I'm also going to use half of this onion, and I'm going to use about 3 tomatoes. I'm going to use 2 jalapenos, but because this is huge, this is one from my plant. Excuse me, my plant. I'm only going to use 1 because I don't want it to be too spicy. And this is for about 7 potatoes. Okay? Now, I have a special sponge for the potatoes to wash them. I very seldom remove the skin just because the skin has a lot of nutritional value as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean them really well with a sponge, and then I'm going to cut them and cook them like that. Okay? So this is my sponge. And this is actually pretty rough, and this is soft. So this rough is the rough side is the one that I'm going to be using to remove all the dirt and everything. I always use these yellow potatoes, but you could use the rosette ones. The only reason why I don't like to use the rosette is because when you cook them, when you fry them, they get all smushy, and so these, even if they're cooked all the way, they're pretty firm, and so you're always going to be seeing the little squares. Okay. So my potatoes are pretty much cleaned already. Now I'm going to clean my tomatoes. These ones I'm just going to go ahead and use this other side so that way I don't scratch them or whatever. That's one. And what I'm just removing the wax out of these things. Okay. So that's about it. I don't really clean my onion because I'm gonna remove all the outer part of it. So I'll do that. I'm gonna get a pan. I'm gonna get a pan for the potatoes. Okay, so I'm using this kind of potato, this kind of pan. Well, for this one it's a 4/4 pan, and so I'm also going to add some oil in here. And again, I'm kind of just covering the bottom. And if it's too much, I can remove more oil once the potatoes are cooked. Okay. So the beans are actually like boiling a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna periodically be stirring them because I don't want it to be sticking on the bottom. But I'm also going to be mashing them a little bit. So for those of you who thought that I couldn't multitask, I'm glad you're watching these videos because this is beyond multitasking. Okay? Alright, so this one, because I'm really going to be using the same ingredients, I don't even have to clean it again because, again, everything is already there, the chilies and all that. So I'm going to be cutting my potatoes, just like so. Okay. And you see how I put the oil first, and while that's heating up, I'm cutting my potatoes. Hence, multitasking. So that's one. Again, be very careful when you're handling sharp objects such as a knife. We don't want you to cut yourself. Okay, so it seems like the oil is already is hot already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of this salt. I'm going to mix them a little bit, and then I'm going to put them. And while these are cooking or frying, I'm going to be cutting the rest. Okay. So the potatoes, actually, these also take a little bit, quite a bit of time to be done because first they have to soften, and also after they soften, they have to fry a little bit. Otherwise, they're not gonna taste good. These potatoes are great for burritos, which is also what we're gonna be making right now, or for breakfast. And I'm still not, I haven't forgotten about my beans, but they're okay right now. Once I cook these ones, I'm actually gonna see how much it is, because I'm kind of, I don't know if 7 potatoes would be a little too much, but well. I'm also going to put a little bit of salt. And really I'm using this area. There's not a lot of it coming out. You might see me doing like this a lot or too much, but no, it's just a little bit that's coming out. Now I'm going to stir it so that way the bottom one mix. Okay, and we're gonna go back to the beans right here. As you can tell, now they're getting thicker. No, now they're getting thicker and more dangerous, because now they're gonna be jumping. They're very dangerous. Okay, I'm gonna wash my hands and come back. So I'm still gonna do 2 more potatoes in there. So these things are off. That's fine. No big deal. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lower the flame a little bit more, just because again, I just want these to evaporate a little bit more. Again, we're making burritos, and so we want them a lot drier than that. So, of course, the potatoes, these would have a little bit different flavor than the rosette, or even the white potatoes. I like to use these ones or the white potatoes, by the way. I never really use the red potatoes. I'm more for like soups and stuff. They're a lot sweeter, so you don't really want to use red potatoes for this. Otherwise, again, because they're sweet, your food is going to taste sweeter. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do the last one. I didn't think I was gonna be able to do this one. Let's see, it's 2:13 right now. So, and I believe this video should go for like about 45 minutes to an hour. And just remember, I pretty much am cooking everything here live. I didn't really have anything other than the beans pre-prep, so whatever time we're gonna take here is pretty much what's gonna take you to cook. Okay. All right. So I'm going to add a little bit more salt, and then I'm going to mix them up here. and we're gonna let it set for a little bit until they cook. Okay. Um, I don't know if there's gonna be a way for me to pause the video, but I'm gonna figure it out. If not, I'm just gonna leave you here. I'm gonna go, leave you here with me. Okay. And as you can tell, there's not really much oil on the bottom, so we're not gonna remove anything. Or will we? Alright, we're gonna go back to the beans. And I'm going to kind of like finish smashing them. I always like to eat these burritos, the bean burritos, with queso fresco, which I also know how to make. And one of these days we're gonna make a recipe for how to make queso fresco, and we can upload it on YouTube. It's probably gonna be for another care lounge. Okay, request that with Alex. Okay, so it's getting there. It's getting there. I can definitely feel the consistency being a lot better now. And yeah, I personally like them like this, or even a little bit more smashed. Again, there's people that they just kind of go almost whole beans. And if you're gonna make them like that, might as well just make beans rancheros or puercos, like my mom used to call it. And you can add different types of meat, and they're actually really good. Okay. So really, what I'm gonna be is I'm gonna be alternating from the potatoes and the beans. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna come to the beans. Ooh, these look good. So good that I'm actually kind of wanting to go ahead and light up the barbecue pit so that way I could make my barbecue tacos. Barbecued bean tacos. You guys have to try them. I mean, let me tell you, with salsa de molcajete, or maybe even fresh salsa, and then the tortillas really, really toasty with the barbecue pit, they're really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab another spoon because I want to taste the salt. Nope, they still need more salt. And that's good because now I kind of know. I already smashed them, so I kind of already know how much salt I'm going to be using. So it's probably done. If you're gonna use a cheese that is a little salty to make this burrito, or if you're gonna use something that is salty, don't put, like don't make them not as salty. But if you're not gonna make anything to go with them, just make them the way as salted as you want it.